Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you once again for joining me tonight. As tonight we're talking about how to overcome mediocrity. If you joined me last night or had an opportunity to check the replay on YouTube or SoundCloud, you are well aware whether or not you fall within these characteristics of mediocrity. And truth of the matter is, we all at some point have been here or struggling in some of those areas now, because we know that the mind naturally draws to negative things. So one thing that made me become more aware of how I was thinking and my mindset was that I knew that where I wanted to go in my life, where I see my destiny in life, I knew that my current mindset could not go along because my vocabulary was terrible. My conversations were, needless to say, average. And my filter, that ability to self-discipline and self-control, was also an issue to deal with. So I knew in the direction I wanted my life to go, it could not go with me, guys. So this is why I am more than glad to sit here and have a conversation with you tonight. It's why I included Overcoming Mediocrity as a chapter also in my book, Recreating a Better Me. So if you have goals and aspirations for your life, it starts by also doing assessment of who you are and checking that state of mind. Mediocrity does not fit in today's society of the hustle and bustle. There has to be something about you that stands out above all else. I appreciate you guys joining. I saw some of you just logging on, and I'm glad that you're here with me tonight. Go ahead and like and share this video so that others on your timeline can share in the discussion tonight as well. Also, feel free to leave me a comment or a question that you may have. I promise not to hold you long tonight. There's really not a whole lot to discuss tonight, because if you are serious about overcoming mediocrity, you're going to do the work. You're going to do everything that's necessary to set yourself above the rest. Because we learned last night that being mediocre is just being average or just being ordinary. And so many people, I believe I said 95%, over 95% of the people that we encounter from day to day, they're just satisfied with who they are. And that's okay. But did you know that you can improve your mental capacity? You can improve your mindset and be more awesome than you already are? There's nothing wrong with being the best that you can be. And if you're going places in life and you have goals and aspirations that you know that you have not yet achieved, what if the only thing that was holding you back was your thinking? What if the only thing that was holding you back was that you were stuck in a place of mediocrity and that there was nothing to set you apart? So wouldn't you want to make the changes necessary to be the best you? And that is my focus. I want to be the best me that I can possibly be. So tonight, how can you overcome mediocrity? Well, the first thing you can do to overcome mediocrity is just make up your mind. Because we know where our current thinking has got us. It's got us in this state. So whatever it is that you're doing, it's obviously not working. or not working to the effect that it would thrust you into where you desire to go in your life. So just a made up mind that say, I want to be better. I want to be a better woman. I want to be a better career person. I want to be a better wife. I want to be a better parent. Whatever it is that you want to do better, all it takes is a made up mind. And that's it. There's no magic formula. A mind that says, I want better, and I'm going to commit to whatever it takes to help me get to the point of better. And better is whatever it is that you define for yourself. You realize how many people have a job that they go to and they hate? And you would think that they've complained so much that this pandemic that is going on has answered their prayers. But now they're thinking, oh, maybe I didn't hate the job as much as I thought I did. You see how the mind plays on you? So it's condescending. You say one thing, but you really mean another just to see yourself being negative and complaining. So to overcome that, it just takes making up your mind and committing to the process. One thing that I did was I started using that commute to work that I dreaded so much. I turned that into a learning environment for me. So you can assess your environment and make some changes. Some of you may not commute to work. Some of you may spend majority of your time sitting around the house. But whatever it takes, you have a phone that has YouTube connected to it a lot of times, and sometimes podcasts and things like that. You should be looking to find media that's streaming that feeds your mentality. So whether that is motivational talks, whether it's talks on how to get out of debt, whether it's talks on how to strengthen your relationships, whatever it is, you should find yourself feeding that in your environment. And one thing I found hard was to start. It was hard to start listening to positive things because my nature didn't desire that in the beginning. I was comfortable with sitting on the couch for hours at a time watching Housewives and Greenleaf and whatever else I could find. I was comfortable with that. But now, since I changed what I'm feeding into my brain, it's sometimes difficult for me to sit and consume that stuff into my mental capacity. See, it changes. You get a taste of something, and in the beginning, you don't really like it, but it takes a while before it starts desiring that. So if your mindset is negative, you're not going to desire to listen to positive motivational speaking or the streaming from your media devices. So you can maybe only start with 5 minutes a day. Then maybe next week, increase it to 10 minutes and then 15 minutes. And before you know it, you're going to start to crave that. Because for every minute you spend putting something positive into your mindset, that's a minute less than what you usually give it of the negative stuff. So all it takes is just starting. And there's all kinds of good stuff out there. I even see a lot of good music, gospel music, and things like this, where people are having these watch parties and things like that on Facebook throughout the day, and they have people coming on speaking to you, and it's positive stuff. Find somebody that you can just commit to sitting there and listening and begin to take it in. You may not necessarily like it all, but take some of it in and begin to feast off of that. And then that would help in to start to shift your mindset. Another thing you can do is monitor your friendships and your conversations. And this has came up so much in my talks with you guys. I can't tell you how important it is that you monitor who you allow to occupy your space. You have to limit that time, especially if it's not healthy stuff. It's good to laugh and to joke and all that, but we know that a lot of times when we're laughing and joking, we're really throwing shade or whatever at other people, and we're just making a mockery of things. And yes, it's good to laugh, but there's good, clean, healthy stuff to find to laugh too. It is, and without degrading someone else or put them down, or because where you look at it as being good, clean fun and laughs, how do you know what the other person's intent is when they're cutting these jokes or putting somebody on blast or whatever it is, the terms that they use? I don't have the vocabulary for it because, it's just not something that I desire to do. My desire is to lift people up. It's to educate people. It's to help people feel empowered and to encourage them to live out their dreams. That's what I'm all about. And I have fun doing that. But it's just the way that I'm wired, guys. And I still have fun with my friends, and I can still have laughs with them, and we can greet each other, and we can reminisce back down memory lane and all that. But if it begins to get out of control, there comes a time where I may have to excuse myself because I'm not going to allow all that to penetrate my mindset, right? I want to remember good things. I want to have healthy, positive conversations. I don't want to be to where we're tearing each other down or trying to esteem myself as being so much. Hey, we're all trying to do this thing. We're all trying to make it. So we support one another. So monitor who you are allowing to call you on the phone and monitor the conversations that you have. What's wrong with saying, hey, well, let me get back with you. Something came up, or I have to tend to some business. What's wrong with saying that? That doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. They don't know. They don't know what you have going on. But what that does is it keeps you from taking in all this baggage, and it cuts them off. So now they have to go and find somebody else to call to dump their baggage and filth and stuff on. So if you do that enough, eventually they're going to get it. They're going to get the message. They're going to get that you don't want to hear that stuff. They're going to get that you've grown past that. And like I said, you can only do these things when you first make the commitment that you want to overcome mediocrity. You can't continue to do the same thing and keep the same things and the same people around you and expect that you're going to be better, because you're not. Another thing that you can do is read. Reading is another way that you shift your mindset. Now, I wanted to learn about finances, and I wanted to know, how can I undo this destruction of financial debt that I created? And I created it really not knowing what I was doing, but now I feel the effects of it. So now I have all this debt. So how am I going to overcome it? So I began to read. I began to read and I began to watch webinars and listen to people who knew about money and how to get money to work for me. And when I began to do that and I began to study and expand my knowledge, I realized that a lot of these things I were already doing, but there were a few minor adjustments that I needed to make if I was going to dig myself out of debt. And guys, guess what? Every day I make progress because I no longer see money as a way to get things. I see it as a tool to provide me opportunities for greater things. So I don't have to be so worried to go to a job to make money when I tell my money now how I want it to work. There's people who've done it. Being average and ordinary is living from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. To overcome this, we learn a different way to allow money to work and move in the way that we tell it to. Did you know that you can command your money to do what you need it to do for you? And not only that, you make progress. And when you begin to make that progress and you see this debt just going down by the thousands, month after month after month, it feels good. It is liberating. It frees you. How awesome is that? So just by reading, just by expanding your knowledge and applying that knowledge to the areas of it, you may be doing 100 things right. 100 things right with your money. But it may be only one thing you need to do just a little bit different that sets you apart from everybody else. And did you know that if you surround yourself with people in poverty, and I know so many of us, our families have lived in poverty for years. Did you know that by surrounding yourself with the populations of poverty, that you continue to stay in that state? So what if you're the one that changed the dynamics of your circle? What if you're the one that begins to learn and start initiating the conversations on finances, how to cut spending, and how to set budgets and how to set goals? What if you're the one? And you're the one that makes the difference for everyone around you. That's all it takes. That's all it takes to keep you from being average and ordinary. You learn something and you begin to share it with those around you. My conversation with my sister, and I mentioned it about it in my book, and I also mentioned about it in an interview I done. She was the one that began to stimulate my desire to learn more about finances. She would always be talking about finances when we were together. Somehow she'd managed to just slip it in there and ask these little questions, and I would share some of the things that I had already had in place, and she asked the harder questions, and I got to thinking about it. I may not know as much about finances as I think I do. Where I think that I'm setting the standards and trying to leave a legacy here, leave something for my kids and providing things for my kids, I may not be doing it all right. So when I began to study and begin to understand money and think about money differently, I can see how in a few years of working this process that I've learned that I can come out of $70,000 worth of debt and I can move into $500,000 of savings and other things for my legacy. It's all it takes. Another thing that you can do to overcome mediocrity is to take the risk. Take the risk. Remember last night we talked about part of mediocrity, part of identifying if you're in that state is that you are motivated by fear. Well, I'm telling you tonight to change that and take the risk. You have an idea that you've been sitting on, and because you've been sharing that with the wrong people, they've talked you out of that idea. I'm telling you to go back and pick it up and take the risk. Now is the time. We're living in times like we've never seen before. I don't know that our parents ever seen these times before. But I do believe for the dreamers, for those with the idea, now is the time for you to go back and revisit it again. Go ahead and try it again. Don't allow people to help you abort what your creator put in you. How do you know that that one idea will not change the financial situation for the rest of your family, for the rest of your life and your kids' life and their lives for generations to come? How do you know that? We don't know. But we'll never find out if we don't try. Guys, look, I come up with a natural formula for reversing the signs of aging on our skin. That means the wrinkles, the cellulite, all that. It replenishes all that. I've shared it with a couple people, probably a couple of you listening tonight. I've shared it with you. That was an idea. And it's so simple, it's so easy. And maybe one day if I'm ready to expand on that, how do I know that won't change the whole dynamics of my life? But for now, I am sharing it with my circle. I look at my kids get up and they'll get up and looking for it, and if they run out, they'll come back for some more, and then they're going to the refrigerator looking for it, and I use it every now and then. But it could change. It could change my entire life. So I'm telling you, whatever idea you have, take the risk. That sets you apart. Don't be afraid. So what if you fail? Success is built upon failures. I failed 100 times, but I keep getting back up and trying it again, right? I wrote a book, reading on a 3rd grade level, and probably less when you include the trying to comprehend and write out the grammar and all that. I'm not ashamed, but I did it. And has it generated royalties for me? Yes, it has. Right? May not be a bestseller, but who knows what the future holds. But I did it. I did it, guys. So go back and revisit that idea. Make it happen. Some of you guys cook real good, and it's something you have a specialty. What are you doing with it? Instead of you using your stove to generate income for you and to serve people that maybe don't want McDonald's, to give them something more nutritious to eat, how you know they won't pay you for that? Right? I see people now getting creative, and on the flip side of that, I see people sitting back criticizing those that are being creative. Now I ask you, which side you want to be on? Because you have a choice. You can sit back and watch everybody else do something, or you can get in the game and find what works for you. All right, guys. So I hope that I have shared something with you tonight that stimulates your mind to say, I no longer want to be mediocre. I want to do something different. Being mediocre, just being average and ordinary, it's not working for me. And I guarantee if you have hopes and dreams and things that you desire to do, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit where you desire to go, guys. So take the risk, make the necessary changes, and just step out on it. If we fail, so what? We'll fail 100 times and we'll keep getting back up. And that's what keeps us out of being mediocre. You guys have a good night. I hope that you found this helpful tonight. Tomorrow we will be going into, I believe we'll talk a little bit about parenting. I believe we'll go into a series of parenting tomorrow night, guys. So I look forward to seeing you then. You guys have a good night.